So first, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today for the Tech Day 2025. We speak about security and cybersecurity and fraud prevention. That's something that I usually like to say when we speak about Treasury in general. We have 3 pillars. Our job is not complicated. It may sound like it, but it's not. We have 3 pillars. It's optimizations, resilience, and nurturing our relationships with our board members, with our suppliers, our customers, and make sure that every flows goes properly. So when we speak about cybersecurity and fraud, we usually refer to the 3, let's say the triangle of the fraud. What drive the opportunity of someone, somewhere, to misbehave with your flows. And basically you have the incentive, you have the capability, and you have the opportunity. And when you look at these 3 items, then you need to ask yourself, within your frame, within your 3 pillars, what doors do I leave open for people to misbehave with my funds? Now that's basically a simple question, but it's a complex answer. So I'm pleased to get Olivia and Benjamin with me today. So I will let them present themselves, their solutions, their challenges they may face. So Olivia, please.
1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jean-Philippe. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivia Federici. I'm Trustpair representative for the European market, and more precisely, the Nordics and the Benelux territory. And it's my pleasure to present to you in a nutshell what Trustpair does. And before jumping into that, I'll let you the floor, Benjamin.
Thank you, Olivia. So I'm Benjamin. I've been working in Treasury for the last 14 years. I've touched on more industrial companies, twice, privately owned companies, listed companies, and now working in a private equity company, but still in Treasury. And fraud has been bread and butter for all of us here, I'm sure. So excited to talk about that.
And especially when we speak about fraud, when we think about the flow of payments, and that the beauty of it is you need to really understand how it works. And that's where actually I think, Olivia, you can give us a lot of insight there. If we think about the P2P, procurement to payments, like which steps in the process is actually at risk, and how do you cover that risk?
Sure. So basically, in order to simplify all the processes that are going on at your company regarding cash management and vendors' data, there are 4 major steps. The first one is when you create, when you onboard, or when the vendor onboards itself in your systems, when you just have to create a new data relatively to your vendors at an international scale, of course. When you receive as well vendor data change request saying, hi, my IBAN has just been changed. Can you please delete your former data and replace it by the new bank account details? This is step number 1. Step number 2 is your vendor master data. My question to you all today is, how can you be sure today that your vendor master data remains up to date? How can you be sure that the data you are daily using in your flows, in your workflows, in your processes are reliable still? Manually, you cannot. You are all dealing with high volumes of vendors, again, at an international scale. So manually performing callbacks, manually receiving base statements just to make sure that the IBAN is right. No, too time consuming today. Let's go for a little bit of time efficiency today. Last step, of course, payment files. How can you be sure your payment files remain reliable? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of lines in your payment files, manually quite impossible, or very time consuming, of course. So that's basically the 3 major steps where fraud might happen. And the answers Trustpair brings you is basically those 3 modules answering those 3 challenges. Controlling your vendor creations and modifications. Auditing your vendor master data once and for all, and benefiting from a continuous automatic monitoring of the same vendor master data. So you will be alerted of all the change that will occur through time as data has a lifetime. How can you be sure the bank account has not been closed yesterday? How can you be sure your vendor is not part of any insolvency notice? You cannot. However, Trustpair, we are able to provide you this information real time. Last but not least, of course, we are able to perform controls on your payments.
And if I can be the herald there a little, with the new regulations that's coming and with the VOP, for example, if I'm lazy, why would I need your tool, for example? And I would send it to Benjamin and say, well, how comfortable are you that the VOP would actually resolve the integrity of your risk, or at least a portion of it?
So I don't work for Trustpair, right? But I'm a strong advocate of their solution. Quick snapshot on VOP. All of us in this room, what we want to answer as a question is, when we make a payment, is am I paying the right counterparty? That's the things we want to know, is am I paying the right counterparty? In my view, if you ask me, is VOP addressing this? I would say not completely, partially, and not necessarily in all cases. So there are, let's say, three main reasons for this. The first thing is VOP, so verification of payee is checking a name versus a bank account, which means, going back to what Olivia said, a name. So what about your master data? Are you sure your master data and your ERP and your TMS have the exact same name? Then the beneficiary bank will report back to you. Because if you don't and you're in VOP, well, I'm sure you've already experienced this since October 9th, the go live. Many emails from your bank saying, hey, are you sure about this payment? Can you confirm? If you go on the bank portal, you will have the luxury that you have the result directly. But if you have pre-authorized files from your TMS, I'm not aware of a provider yet that goes with a VOP status report back to the TMS, hopefully one day. But for now, it's not the case. So it means you have many false alarms that dilute you a little bit from the real fraud cases. So a name check is you need also to have good data in your master data. I'm almost certain no one can claim here that 100% of the data is good. Another element in the name, it's a name. Funny story, last week or 2 weeks ago, I met Benjamin Defays. So I met someone who has the same name, first name and last name as me. Had a nice conversation with a guy, but I was like, yeah, so name check, what about that? You have the same case with ABC Limited in this country and ABC Limited in another country. So if you pay Benjamin Defays that I met the other day, you don't pay me. But the bank will tell you, yeah, it's a match. You pay the right person. Which brings me to another thing about name check is name versus bank account. The bank or payment service providers overall, 3,000 involved in this. They don't take liability. They are not responsible. Even if there is a fraud, they tell you it's match. If there is a fraud, they're not responsible. You cannot blame the bank because they told you it's matching. So very important. That's one thing for a VOP to be really crystal clear. The second, the scope. So we're talking about SEPA. In 2 years, we're going to have an expansion to the European Economic Area. So nice, but what about all the other hundreds of countries we have on the planet? You have a confirmation of pay in the UK, another one in the US, but there are many other countries, if you're global, that are not covered by VOP, confirmation of pay or another like this in the US. And so it's SEPA, SEPA bulk payment is your option. You can opt in or out. I hope you're out if you have not cleaned your master data yet, and ask your bank if they are applying out by default. Not the case everywhere. So that's the second thing. And then the third is the level. At which level is VOP intervening? It's at the payment. So it's good. Of course, I'm an advocate of this regulation. It's really nice to have, but it's the cherry on the cake. If you have a check at the payment level, while your database can be infested by already fraudulent bank accounts all across. I believe that solutions like Trustpair is like a third-party control platform will address more needs than VOP. VOP needs to come on top of this check. So 3 things as well. So three to remember. So Trustpair will do 3 core things. The company name first of all. well, company, not company name. So the ID, that's the key differentiator. You will return, you will log in an ID, you will put an ID, VAT ID, tax ID, DUNS, RCS for Luxembourg, CRN in France, so very nicely recommended by country. And you put this ID, it's a unique identifier, and it will return the exact name and address of the counterparty. Trustpair connects to hundreds of databases across the globe, national registers, so you have the correct data. And when you think about it, like name, so you will have the exact name. So really good to have if you are thinking about VOP. If you have this, then you can clean your master data. You have the address. Another element is ISO 20022. If you think about this, you need to have address now for your payments. And if you ask your ERP database, yeah, we don't have the address in all the vendors. It's not structured, whatever. Well, this is also another benefit on top of payment control. It will return you the exact name and address of the counterparty. It will tell you, is the company sanctioned? So they connect to sanction list. Is it blacklisted? Is it liquidated? Is it still existing? Is it in bankruptcy or not? So you have that kind of information that can be quite useful. The second thing is the bank account. It's not the IBAN calculator, okay? So it's not going to say, yeah, it's an IBAN format, all good. So it's going to check with bank database to return, is the bank account existing? Is it still open? And then the third and foremost is the pairing. So it will tell you, this ID, yes, I checked. This bank account, yes, it exists. And both are together. So that's a key differentiator. Now you have a very good coverage with Trustpair. And even if let's say the APIs are not getting your result immediately, Trustpair still complements with other checks. They will do callback as a last resort with 40 plus professionals, I think, across the globe. They do the callback, and you know that when you call from a certain country to other countries, people will hang up. So that's also another differentiator. But before that, they will do a penny test as well. So supplier paying Trustpair, their return, just to get us this information. And also you benefit from a huge customer base of database that you can also use for those checks. So I believe this all go together, and we talked about AI before. There's also an AI element where you can check the documents, a bank confirmation letter, an invoice, and Trustpair uses AI technology to tell you, yeah, this document was falsified, was retouched, and also lastly is the email address. If you feel it smells, you can put the email address that has sent you the details, and it will tell you, yeah, the email address was created 3 days ago, or things like this. So this, on top of EOP, for me is really key. And I would not go with externalizing everything or the whole process of vendor or beneficiary bank account validation process, because it can be quite sensitive as well for treasurers. But to have all those combined, you have your process, so you have your callbacks or other process to independently validate the beneficiary bank account details, Trustpair, which is really robust. You have technology that address this, plus VOP, then you have a good suite of service to protect.
Are you sure you did not work for Trustpair?
That was my question, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Could you please apply? That's really good, thank you.
But I think in general it does make a lot of sense when we think about the triangle again with the incentive, the capability and the opportunity is if we are able to close the door, that's where we get safer. We are not safe, just safer. And I think that's one of the things where we need to be very aware of all the risk we are facing on a day-to-day basis, because that's actually what people are looking for. And when we were speaking about the VOP and how do you check suppliers, I have zillions of examples where actually you think you have a great suppliers, but it's not a supplier. Someone from internal just succeed to pass all your process internally and trick you. And then they go away with not yet millions, but still 100Ks. So, meaning the fraud is not only on the payment flows, it's everywhere. And that's one of the questions for you, Olivia, is like, how would Trustpair help in preventing the personal fraud, like to identifying the individuals?
Good question. Indeed, we provide you a result on an account validation. Does this IBAN belongs to this VAT number? Does this routing number belongs to this DUNS number? We have, I would say, integrated, I would say, in the steps of the control, like you said, Jean-Philippe. First control on the vendor, second control on the bank account, third control on the account ownership. And we have aggregated today more than 45 bank sources all around the world. And you have here in the maps quite all the bank sources that we have aggregated in, I would say, more than 40 countries. Indeed, but what I want you to remember is that we are aiming every single month to improve this coverage for our large corporate clients. I give you the example of Danone. I give you the example of Air France KLM. They are using Trustpair on a daily basis, either in the web app or automated in Oracle, in SAP, in Sage, in Microsoft Dynamics. Whatever the systems, they are willing to optimize those time efficiency and security in their IT systems. Option number one, they can simply use the web app as a standalone first. However, they are more secure than ever today thanks to this banking network, which is just our first control method. You can see here, we have 4 left to go if the bank source does not provide any result. So what you have mentioned, Benjamin, and it's very important to remember to highlight here, yes, we aggregate bank sources every single month. Yes, we have 43 fraud experts, human expertise to provide to our corporate clients to detect any fraud attempt. Because, don't fool yourselves, your company will receive fraud attempts. That is for sure. Sophisticated fraud attempts, AI, deepfakes, BC scams, everything. However, the question is, when would you like to start being secured once and for all? And to answer your question, Jean-Philippe, yes, we have aggregated bank sources that are able to control companies, but also individuals. Some bank sources, such as France, Italy, the UK, United States, Mexico, Canada, enable us, Trustpair, to ask them, okay, does this first name, last name, and IBAN belongs to each other? Yes or no? We do not have access to the bank data, of course. We are just asking the banks, does this bank account details belongs to this legal or individual entity? Yes or no? And we just have the result that we provide to our clients.
And actually, VOP has increased this rate because they were forced to share this information.
Absolutely. Trustpair, VOP is a huge opportunity for Trustpair. We didn't wait for VOP to have data sources. However, thanks to VOP, we have aggregated even more data in the SEPA zone, which is the limitation, of course, the SEPA zone.
I think in general is disclaimer. I was neither paid, not working for Trustpair. But if any of you know a good competitor of Trustpair's, I would love to have it for my ERPs because my treasurer in the US keep on asking me, like, you cannot have one candidate. You have necessarily some others. So first, I truly appreciate because going through RFPs, I know how well your solution is, and so far I didn't find any relevant competitors. So if anyone knows, please feed me. I would be interested. If you know, please feed me. That would help me at least move forward with the project. On the human aspect, Benjamin, how do you approach it on the let's say treasury perspective and with your expertise with ATEL?
Well, technology, it's tech day, sorry, but technology is not the sole line of defense. And back in the days, we all, at least me, I was thinking, yeah, IT is a really good line of defense, we're protected. And then more and more, you get to have a fraud case, and indeed, we're all facing fraud. If you're not, then you don't know. You're not even aware. It's even more frightening. But this is the human element, indeed. You can have the best tool in the world. You can have VOP. It's not bulletproof. Nothing is bulletproof. I will not say you have no risk at all. You have people that can indeed do this internally in the organization. So you can have all those checks together. But the thing I see the most at ATEL with our members is that we don't talk openly about fraud enough. Usually if there is a fraud, it's hidden, it's finger pointing, and then when there is something that smells, we prefer to hide it than to say it out loud. And that's a big problem for me. because we don't foster a culture of fraud, speaking openly about fraud. And fraud is not only Treasury. That's the thing. Like, we're always at the last door of the chain. But if something happens, well, it's us. We have to firefight and everything. And our controls were not good, whereas actually it's upfront. Controls were not followed upfront. It was externalized to a provider and then didn't follow the procedure. And so it's not just Treasury. We need to educate our teams and do it regularly. Ensure that people are sensitized about fraud, and it does not only happen to others. And I can tell you that when, of course, you invest in a TMS, it's a huge investment. But when you invest into a system that protects your company's most valuable asset after the employees, it's nothing compared. Just one fraud case will pay it off very quickly, I think.
And there is something which I engage everyone to do, is I have a sign saying like we should finish, but we have a team in Deere which is part of internal control and IT, and their sole role, 5 people worldwide, their sole role is to trick Treasury. They're trying to trick us, like any ways they can find. Their only job is to find ways to trick us. And trust me, it's super challenging. Like every day, you receive emails, you're like, yeah, wait. So what I was just willing to finish with is, if you keep on the 3 pillars of Treasuries, optimizations as first, is having a good provider is actually a gain in efficiencies. If you think about the nurturing piece, which I was talking about, it's definitely the relationship which create the trust and which create your capacity to move forward. And lastly, if you think about resilience, is when you have a third parties that you can trust with, which is actually checking your system on a regular basis. This give you a better peace of mind to be able to provide to your business. So, Olivia, Benjamin, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your insight.
Everyone.
My pleasure. If anyone wants to see more, just scan my QR code. You have my contact. All right, thank you.